Hello, hello, and happy Tuesday. I hope you had a great weekend. I know for many of us, it was a 3-day weekend. So I hope you got some rest and relaxation as we head into another very, very busy week. Hello, friends. Welcome to today's live level up conversation.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market updates. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hi, Joshua. It's great to see you. I see you on YouTube Live. Thanks so much for joining us. Oh, lots of friends today. Thank you so much for being here with us live. As a reminder, we're streaming on about 8 different social media platforms. So wherever you're joining us from, do say hello. Let us know where you're joining us from, and of course, how your weekend went. Hello, friends. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, Forbes contributor, CNBC Council member, and award-winning financial pro, here to keep you on top of all things relevant, trending business news. But what makes our show fun is that we get to see your feedback. So as you put in comments, as you have questions, if you have any opinion on the things that we're discussing today, go ahead and jot them down. I'll be able to see them live here with us. And yes, CrossX Fighter is asking how I'm doing, how my long weekend was. My long weekend was great. In fact, one of my kids was competing in a national tournament, which turned out to be very, very good. So I'm quite the proud parent today, and I'm having a great day and excited to be back with everybody on this beautiful Tuesday. We also no longer have rain here in Southern California, which is a big treat because, as someone had said on social media, that they said in Southern California, the reason why they have trouble driving and surviving during the rain is because their houses are made out of tissue and their roads, well, I guess they're so slick because of the fancy cars, they aren't designed for rain, which I don't know. I'm sure that's not true, but it was very funny to read nonetheless. But let's start and tell you how the market closed today. The market closed, unfortunately, I was hoping to give you better news as we started the first market day of the week. But alas, sometimes things have to come to an end. And it certainly did for the Dow. The Dow closed down 391 points. Now, the Nasdaq though did creep up a slight positive, up over 15 points, and the S&P 500 also down 8 points as well. Now, definitely we saw some struggle in the financial markets. You might be wondering why it didn't continue, as we did have pretty positive numbers across the board last week. Well, part of the reason is because unfortunately, it looks like there's some concerning numbers coming out of the financial industry. In fact, some of the results from earnings from last quarter, which was fourth quarter of 2022, show that Goldman Sachs actually slid about 6.44% after they revealed that they actually reported negative earnings. In fact, the worst earnings miss in over a decade. So in a decade, so that's pretty bad, right? Over 10 years, they missed earning results. So unfortunately, they didn't look too good. But on the flip side, you might say, well, is that all financial firms in general? Interesting enough, Morgan Stanley actually produced better than expected numbers, but nonetheless, there is still some concern of what the financial industry will do in 2023, and if things will get better, and if people will make money, and if companies will obviously earn more money as well, and everything. Yeah, just financial services is really in many ways kind of indication of where the financial markets are, right? We like to see healthy numbers in both respects. So people are really watching that very closely, and therefore you're also seeing why the financial markets struggle a little bit. Investors getting a little bit worried seeing those numbers. But year to date, though, nonetheless, the Nasdaq is still positive, over 6%. The S&P 500 also still up almost 4%, and the Dow still over 2% as well. So we can't complain. It's still the beginning of the year, very much in the beginning of the year, and things are looking pretty good so far. We hope that continues. And by the way, I celebrated a birthday yesterday. I feel like that's a little bit of good luck. So hopefully we have a good week this week. I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of birthdays, speaking of generations, we got to talk about this. This is an article that came out on CNBC Robert Frank is the author about this. And I really thought this was an interesting story. This is talking about how Generation Z, which for those of you who aren't sure of all these generations, Generation Z is the next generation after millennials. So it's the next younger generation. And they are really the generation that many people are watching very, very closely. Now, Generation Y is also who you know as a millennial. So it goes Y and then Z. And I guess the next generation after that is going to be Alpha. Well, here's what's really interesting about this generation. Generation Z is now some of the youngest purchasers of luxury goods. They're luxury shoppers. And in fact, we're seeing that next generation, which is Generation Alpha, which is those who are under the age of 13, they're expected to make up a third of the luxury market through 2030, year 2030, which is just showing that now the people or the consumers of buying luxury goods is just getting younger and younger. And so I had to do a little bit of research on this because that was fascinating. Because I don't know about you, but I'm thinking the first real luxury item I bought for I was able to buy is actually something that I bought, I think for my mom, but maybe it's for myself. I bought myself something, but my mom something as well. So I think it's about the same time. It was really when I got my first real paycheck. I was already in my 20s, but now they're saying that luxury shoppers are just getting younger and younger. So what makes up luxury goods? They're talking about designer handbags, to designer shoes, to sneakers, to watches, to jewelry, apparel, and beauty products. And in fact, they're saying now luxury goods are primarily purchased by a big group in at age 15, which is 3 to 15 years younger than millennials did. So Gen Z now purchasing luxury goods at such a very, very young age at 15 years old. So 5 years younger, and I'm sure that number is just going to get lower. And then you might say, well, what is it that they're purchasing, right? We talked about earlier, like designer goods, designer. I didn't even know kids these days still purchase luxury purses, but that I guess is a thing because I'm thinking a lot of people just don't need to carry purses as much as they used to, but no, that they're still doing that. So by 2030, they're expecting that these younger generations are going to make up about 80% of global luxury purchases. We're talking not only here where they live, but when they travel. This is going to be the future luxury shopper. Crazy. So this was a new study that came out of Bain that's seeing expectations. And another thing that I thought was really interesting too. In 2022, the United States once again regained its top spot for luxury buyers or luxury sales, if you will, surpassing China with 25% of sales growth. That's what came out of the United States. 113 billion euros, $121 billion. It's fascinating just how much money is still spent on luxury goods, considering that we continue to talk about things such as inflation and economic challenges and, recession concerns. Well, that didn't seem to affect luxury goods much. In fact, we saw that the Chanel has this, I guess, small classic flat bag. Believe it or not, this bag actually is now priced 60% higher than before the pandemic. So crazy times. I know. Sadiq is saying, like, are they counterfeit or are they real? This is actually real. This is from real luxury buyers, really real luxury companies, I should say. Companies such as Gucci and Tiffany's and all these like luxury companies, they're reporting that a significant amount of their shoppers right now are from these very, very young consumers. So why is that, right? They're saying, well, luxury brands now more so than ever, the consumers are getting younger and younger. They're saying it's because a surge in wealth creation over the past few years, which I don't know if you find that surprising, but I guess because of inflation, maybe the pay has gone up as well. And they're saying a big part of it also has to do with social media, which I'm sure many of you would agree, right? They're seeing this on social media, and social media is telling them what to buy, what things they should be interested in. And I guess now the luxury goods producers and companies offering these luxury goods are really, really going after this very young market, which actually should be quite concerning. For those of you who are parents, but more so those of you who are financial professionals, who are accounting professionals, this is a trend you definitely want to pay attention to, because if they can spend it, they should be able to save it as well. So if they're spending this much, what is the financial industry doing to counteract all the spending so we can get the next generation saving as well? I've been sharing that on social media earlier today. So things to think about, things to watch. Very, very fascinating, and maybe a little bit concerning as well, because do they really need a $6,000 purse? I don't know. I think that probably we would agree that the answer is no. All right. So let's segue to another story though that's also trending in the financial news that I want to make sure that that's on your radar too. I thought this was fascinating. This actually was a press release that was shared by the Federal Reserve today. The Federal Reserve is now sharing some details of they're really concerned also about climate changes, climate scenarios, and they're saying that now they're actually asking the six largest banks to do a deep dive. This includes Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo. They want to know what's going to happen to residential and commercial real estate loan portfolios in case of hurricanes and earthquakes and heat waves and wildfires and things like that. So this is what the Fed is calling physical risk scenarios. They want to know if climate change occurs, are your consumers going to be okay? And how is this going to impact economy? So this is really interesting, because for a lot of people who have said, well, I don't know if climate change is really that big a deal. Well, maybe it is a big deal, because those who manage your money, those who control your money, those who house your money are being asked to test these scenarios. So, yeah. I don't know what you think about that, but I thought it was fascinating. And I think, we want to know that we're going to be okay. And most importantly, that our money's going to be okay if we feel we're going to need to feel confident that we can leave our monies at these financial institutions. Sadiq is saying, is I think they want to live as if they are rich. He's probably mentioning, of course, the previous generation, the previous story of the younger generations, I should say, buying these very high-end luxury goods. Yeah, I think that they want to live that lifestyle. They want to keep up with the images that they see on social media. So yeah, really, really interesting, right? Younger people spending more. And of course, with climate change is what's going to happen to our money. And, we always want to talk about this too, because this is also a trend that we're seeing. On the flip side, Microsoft announced this week that they're going to be laying off as many as 11,000 employees, which is kind of a big deal too, right? So companies are now trying to make changes to their businesses, run a little bit leaner. And with that, oftentimes layoffs as well. So that's sort of our layoff library insertion that we'll be adding in this week. A lot of, I guess, they're letting go a lot of engineers, and also significantly larger cuts than they have done in the past. But hopefully things will get better. But we're seeing that trend. We're seeing cuts at Meta and Google and Amazon, a lot of different companies making those changes. But with that, we'll continue to keep you updated. We have more stories coming in this week. And I know there's a lot of numbers that we're expecting to hear again on Thursday of, how the economy is doing, if people are getting back to work. And of course, I'm interested to see from those of you who are watching, are you starting to think about tax season? Are you starting to get those 1099s in and W-2s in? Are you prepared, and are you ready to start filing your taxes? Because the IRS also announced the window for tax filing is going to begin on January 23rd, right? So it's just around the corner. But with that, my friends, thank you so much. And if you don't mind taking a moment to liking and subscribing to our channel, and also on YouTube, where you can find full episodes of Level Up, also on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, and Roku. And with that, be well. I hope to see you again this week. We'll be coming back to you tomorrow with In the Loop with Greg. So I hope to see you on the show tomorrow as well. Take care now and be well.